You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Podcast.
Welcome to Ride With Me, episode 21. Today is September 19, 2020, 7 in the morning. Today I have my buddy Brian.
Good morning.
Brian's going to be on the podcast today. We'll probably open up on some family history. But as of right now, bro, did you feel that earthquake last night?
That was something else, man, especially for the time of night it was. Not everybody was awake, so not everybody can say what they were doing at that time. But I was up. How about you?
I was fully awake. I had gotten up to use the restroom. Dude, I drink a lot of water throughout the day. So I'm up like 4 times maybe to use the restroom.
Right.
So I was fully awake when it hit. My wife actually, I was already laying in bed, and my wife is the one that's like, hey, oh, like she kind of jumped, and I'm like, just let it right through. The fact that it didn't wake up my boys, it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't. 4.6 wasn't compared to Northridge.
Sure.
I the way I see it, I lived through that one. This was nothing. The funny thing, well, not the funny thing, but the kind of like the scary thing is the fact that it was right here in Whittier Narrows.
Yeah.
Where I take my kids fishing.
You saw the epicenter of it. It was something else.
Yeah, it's just down the street, no joke. So when last night I opened up the app to see where the earthquake was at, you can literally see the mark, and then you see your mark. I'm like, holy shit,
yeah.
This was just down the street. You zoom in on the map, and it's like, that's where I take the kids fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little that made me kind of creep out a little bit. That's kind of close to home. And then my wife was like, well, the aftershocks are going to be... Yeah, we had like 3 aftershocks, and they were all 2 points. They were
so
tiny.
minor.
You didn't even feel it. Yeah,
I didn't feel them either.
Yeah, you didn't feel it. I was like, there was 4 total earthquakes. Not that big of a deal. But Northridge, though, on the other hand, that one was... were you around for that one, bud?
I was very young. I think I was 4 years old. 94, right?
94, yeah.
Yeah,
I
4 years
was,
old.
I think I was, if it was in January, I believe it was in January. So I was 11. And that one, we lived in Oxnard, like middle downtownish kind of area. And we lived in an apartment, so we had bunk beds in the room. And I fell off the top bunk, man.
Did you fall?
Oh, yeah, I fell off the top bunk.
Oh, man.
I remember opening my eyes and our bedroom door just swinging back and forth.
Right.
And that was pretty scary, dude. Like, freaking the neighbors were running out. Like, that event made me realize how I go to sleep. Again, now I'm 11 years old back then.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me on how to sleep. No joke. Sleeping in a nude is comfortable. It truly is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about it, but it truly is.
Were you doing that at the time of the earthquake?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, this guy ran out of his freaking house
Oh, no.
with the towel on. Like, he was like literally like he was naked. Since then, bro, at 11 years old, my eyes were like, or not my eyes, I'm sorry, but at 11 years old, life lesson number 1. Always sleep mainly fully clothed, because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's nuts.
So I sleep in my boxers, but I also sleep with a tank top on. Doesn't matter how hot it is, I guess, or sometimes I take it off. But
Bro, that gives the saying, getting caught in the wrong place with your pants down,
yeah.
a new meaning, dude.
So I'm not saying that the man was getting jiggy with it. I'm just saying that's
matter.
how he slept, and that's how he ran out.
Oh, yeah.
So no. And that was a joke. That was a joke for years. We're just making fun of that guy.
Crazy.
But the aftershocks were the ones that were kind of more scarier, because this one happened middle of the day. Early morning. I think like 4 in the morning, something like that. Really early. We were asleep. The aftershocks were during the day. Now the earthquake was so hard that the lights went out. We had no electricity.
Yeah.
So, and I think I've mentioned in the past, our meals were McDonald's, KFC, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So there's no power. There's no fast food. My mom sends me over to the store, which was like, I'm going to say a mile away, a little liquor store down on C Street, in between 3rd and... It's actually down the street from the police department. Everybody knows that liquor store down the street from the police department in Oxnard. That's where I went. And...
Notorious spot.
Yeah. That every time... Dude, no joke. Every time I'm in Oxnard and I drive by this liquor store, it's a reminder of what happened in 94. So back in the day, it was okay to send your kids to the store. I'm 11 years old to go to a store, 11 a mile away at 11 years old. It wasn't in late 80s and early 90s. There wasn't any big issue, dude. So go ahead, send your kid to the store.
Yeah.
My mom sends me to go get a loaf of bread. I'm at the liquor store buying this loaf of bread, and I'm standing in front of the cooler where they have like the sodas and stuff. I'm like, should I buy a soda? Blah, blah, blah. And we get hit with an aftershock, pretty heavy, where this cooler starts to shake. This cooler fell down. But if it wasn't for some random lady out of nowhere pulls me out of the way, if it wasn't for that lady, my friend, you wouldn't be sitting here next to me right now.
It was that heavy.
It was that heavy of an aftershock.
Holy.
Yeah, where it shook the like I said, it wasn't one of those, you know, those refrigerators you have at where you work at, those little mini ones where the little you buy the singles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Well, same idea of a refrigerator, but a lot bigger.
Tall enough to crush.
Yeah, tall enough to kill me. Yes. And it tipped, like I said, it fell over, but this lady just pulled me out of the way, and I was like, holy shit. You know, if it wasn't for her, I mean, I was 11 years old. That thing would have crushed me. Maybe at my age right now, I probably would have survived. At 11, probably not. Dude, look at my little kid. My kid's 11. The little one, his age, imagine his age getting crushed by one of these things. Where it was so bad of an aftershock that, and everybody was freaked out that the guy even said, go home, mijo, go home. I'm like, but the bread. Take the bread. Like, he didn't even charge me. He didn't even charge me for the bread, dude. I freaking ran from this liquor store all the way to the house and to make sure that my family was okay. Because back then, I just couldn't pull out my cell phone and say, hey, Mom, you guys okay?
Yeah, definitely.
It didn't work that way.
Nope.
And then if you don't have change, you can't use the public phone. So, yeah, that was a really scary morning.
Mm-hmm.
That aftershock that
Definitely,
pretty
dude.
much almost crushed me.
Which is rare nowadays, too, to think that late in the afternoon for you to be getting aftershocks.
Yeah.
You're so used to nowadays them being, recurring, to 5, 10, maybe 20 minutes after, not later on in the day. So,
No, well, I think the ones last night were quick. They were like run after the other.
Very consecutive.
But really tiny ones, man. 2 something. And like this morning, my wife's like, what about that earthquake? I'm like, pfft, I survived an earthquake. Come on, man. That's nothing. That was nothing.
But how much do you want to bet your wife's coming from the point of maybe they're scared of the big one, dude?
Yeah,
that was the first thought.
But
in
my
mind.
wife also is about your age, so she doesn't remember Northridge, and they were a lot closer. They lived out here.
Yeah.
And Northridge, I mean, me living in Oxnard was like an hour and a half away compared to them being 45 minutes away.
Yep.
It's still for her. She doesn't remember, so and that's good. That's good. My boys woke up this morning. They're like, what's going on? You guys didn't feel the earthquake? There was an earthquake? Like, yeah, right here. They're like, nah, they slept right through it, man. So the beautiful thing about sleeping like a rock.
Oh, that is the beautiful thing until you wake up and you remember all the liquor bottles that are possibly broken at your work. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't tell me I got to get there and clean up a mess first thing, man.
Mess, yeah, where you work at? Yeah, no, freaking. Luckily, it wasn't that powerful. I mean, no reports of damage. So that's
good.
That's a good thing. So
makes sense.
And I believe where you work at, everything's like on a shelf where it won't fall, right?
No, not the back room.
Oh, okay.
The back part's where you got to worry, man. That's the overstock part.
Oh, okay. All right. So enough about earthquakes, I guess.
Okay.
So now to Brian. I met this guy at me doing my job out here selling beer in La Puente. He actually is a manager to one of the stores that I go to. And then we just kind of started talking, and it's like one day, hey, bud, my uncle couldn't try to convince me to start a podcast, and I'm thinking about starting a podcast. A week later, hey man, I'm still thinking about that podcast. Hey man, a week later goes by, a month later goes by, and hey dude, I'm still thinking about that podcast. And his response was, just do it. Just stop talking about it and do it. It'll come out right. And he's the one that kind of helped me push it.
You don't have to pay me for that, Nike. That was just me telling him. I
No, I know. He was
no endorsements, please.
No, he was just giving me his advice. Just freaking do it already. And here we are, 21 episodes later. And
yes, sir.
I think I posted the first episode back in April, and we're now in September, mid-September, and here we are still doing this.
Yep.
Got into the habit of doing it every weekend, on the weekends and on Saturdays mainly, and right now early in the morning, because I don't know if these damn dogs in the background are going to pick up on the microphones.
It has been fun to see it. It's been fun to see it grow, Andy. Real talk, because I am not like your manager. I don't tell you how to do the show. I'm kind of like a coach.
Yeah.
I just give you little pointers here and there. Whatever you want to do with it, I fully support it.
Yeah.
So you've changed it, and it's been a beautiful thing from episode 1 to where we're at now.
Yeah,
the way that you've led this up.
Episode 1 was, it was a trial run, and the microphones weren't even as what you see now. The microphones were these little tiny things on the recording device. That was it. Can you?
That's the beautiful thing, though.
Yeah,
that was the recording.
This was the first episode right here. Then the second episode was these little microphones, and then up until the 5th episode, I got these microphones going on. But everybody that comes in, the same thing, that says the same thing. Wow, it's like, yeah. I mean, I'm using real microphones to record this. I'm not using my phones or whatever. But yeah, you every time I see you on Fridays, it's like, hey, dude, I you tell me, hey, I'm caught up, or hey, I listened to this one, and you yourself are shocked to hear some of the stories that I say.
Oh yeah, it's an insight to your life.
And so you're like, man, I got to come sit down with you, man. We can compare some stories. But we gotten so close, like we always talk every Friday, and you even changed your schedule, so I changed my route so I can come see you. Where now the ladies at the store are calling us boyfriends.
Pretty much.
Like, I walked in there yesterday, and I was like, I just walked in, said hi. I didn't even ask for you, dude. And then homegirl's like, your boyfriend's over there. I'm like, what?
Just automatic.
Yeah.
The assumption is real. Now, mind you, that there's a lot of things that can spark this kind of assumption. It could be, the homosexual joking talk, but Andy and I have none of that. We are on the job professional. No. We just have a dang good conversation when we're there.
Every time
she jokes about that.
Every time I walk in, we freaking have like a 5-10 minute conversation where even the store manager's like, okay, dude. Okay, I'm leaving. Sorry, bud. Sorry.
Oh, no, she gives the looks.
She gives the looks, and that's it. Yeah, okay, cut it. Where you switch your days, your timings, instead of being there at 7 a.m, you're no longer there. So I think after a month, I asked the lady that called us boyfriends. I'm like, hey, did I get him in trouble? Did I get him in trouble? Or because my bad. And she's like, no. With this whole COVID and. The store manager has kids at home and distance learning and all this stuff. So they just had to kind of, instead of all of us being here in the morning, we kind of have to, okay, that makes sense. I just thought I got him in trouble. My wife this morning, so who's coming over? I'm like, my buddy Brian. And I don't come home and give the wife every detail of my day, but it was like, you've never mentioned him or whatever. So I started telling her, I'm like, he's this guy that, started talking to him, and I've known him for 2 years already, because just every Friday I walk in there, he kind of told me to start the podcast. Go ahead and don't think about it, just do it. And then apparently now we're boyfriends. And she's like, what? Like, what?
Maybe that's what did it. You did it yourself, man. You made it kind of mysterious.
Yeah.
And you left it open.
Yeah.
You should have filled in more empty gaps, even with just clay. I don't care, man.
I'm like, what the hell? Boyfriend. So it's like, today I normally, if it's this early in the morning, I don't take anyone inside and introduce or anything like that. But
really?
In this case,
it was a custom.
In this case, I'm like, hey, babe, here's your competition. Here's your competition.
I told her she didn't have much to worry about. It's all good.
And that's what I kind of did. Is to see, babe, you're good.
She seems really cool, though, man.
Nah, yeah, she is. It's just like I was telling her earlier. Like, I wish I can get in your brain and figure out where you come up with these conclusions and stuff. Like, well, it's because you never introduced him. Blah blah blah. Like, he's just. If that's the case, then I'm gonna tell you every single person I see on a regular basis. Every Monday, I meet this guy. I meet this guy. I meet this guy. You want to know everything about? So it's like. I wish I can get in your brain and figure out the conclusion of or how you're coming up with these conclusions. She pretty much she knows that I am not the kind of person to just bring a random person around especially around the kids. Mm-hmm. If I would have known that you're some kind of douchebag, then trust me, you wouldn't be here right now. Like the guys that I brought out here, my obviously cousin, you don't say no to blood, but everyone who's been on the podcast. Because I've learned from past experiences that you don't just bring random people into your kids' lives. I mean, I have an ex-girlfriend that never met them. She didn't even meet them. And that's just how I am. You get to know people, you know them, blah, blah, blah. And you don't, again, dude, you just don't bring random people. Because I was around that all my life. I always had random people in my lives. I always had... stepdads that I got attached to, and all of a sudden they got to go. And so, and then, the mother of my kids was kind of doing the same thing. And it's like, no. I don't, unless, like I said, my kids, I was telling you earlier, I always looked for the red flags when it came to dating women or before even dating women.
Right.
It's like, well, This one has a alcoholic. She's kind of drinks a lot. I can't support her habits. This one has insecurity issues. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I start dating my wife, and then my kids say, hey, can we call her mom? That's when I was like, okay, I got to marry this one.
There you go.
Because she became a good role model, good influence around the kids. And it's like, if they're falling in love with her, I mean, I love my wife, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I mean, but the fact that my kids wanted to call her mom, that meant a lot. And even she was touched. So
those added perks. Definitely.
yeah, they'll have her back before they have mine, dude. Like, but right now we're here because you wanted to talk about your upbringing, because you said listening to my podcast, you're like, well, similarities, or you wanted to ask me
even comparative differences.
or ask me
whatever
for
it is.
advices or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be, or what I've gone through. And as a little kid, I mean, I haven't told many people this, but I get a dream. I always have a dream, and it's like, it's my mom and myself getting out of a bus, and I can tell you exactly where it's like for those of you that live in Oxnard, it's like literally right there where that school's at on 9th and C Street. And there's that bus stop, and it comes naturally, like I said, it's like a dream, where my mom and I are getting off the bus. It's raining bad, and I'm walking. She's walking ahead of me, and I'm trying to keep up to her. And I have to be at least maybe 4 years old in this dream. I'm trying to keep up to her, and all I can remember is just I'm crying and crying and crying. My mom's like literally walking ahead of me, and she's not letting me catch up to her. And I'm like, what the and me thinking about when I wake up, I'm like, what the fuck?
That's confusing.
Like, why do I keep having these dreams? It's the same exact dream every single time. Every time the same detail, the same pattern, the same me running after my mother, and she not giving a shit.
That's crazy.
Because for me to even know the detail of the street and what the day was
for
like
sure.
and everything, like, yeah, they're like, no. In a dream, sometimes you wake up and you don't even remember who the hell you were dreaming of. It can be like, I think it was Jennifer Lopez, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't Jennifer Lopez, but it resembles Jennifer Lopez.
Yep.
And no, it's like the fact that you remember detail per detail exactly every single time the dream is the same. It wasn't a dream. It was a memory. I was in counseling when I was trying to get custody of my kids.
Okay.
And he's the one that opened up that door, because they try to find, when you're in counseling, they try to find your triggers.
Right.
What sets you off, what pisses you off, and they told my wife, hey, you're gonna marry this guy, you have to have a lot of patience, because this guy has a lot of triggers. And that's me growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Being late. I hate being late. Going out. I hate going out. Being late, because we were always late to things. Like, okay, well, if mass starts at 10 o'clock, why are we here at 10:30? What was the point in coming? Or going out. Like, well, you said we're only going to go to the grocery store. Why are we going to all of your comadres' houses?
Right.
You got like 10 of them. Like, do we really have to go visit all of them?
Yep.
So, yeah, man, that's why I hate going. Like, I'd rather stay home.
Yep.
Like, I'd rather be home. Like, I know my wife got annoyed with me last weekend. The family wanted to get together, but it's football Sunday. It's the first Sunday football of the season. No, why couldn't you guys do this yesterday? Why today? And I threw a freaking blown out, full on, grown ass man tantrum.
Sure.
I was yelling and screaming and sorry, babe, but. Yeah, I was like not having it. No, bullshit. This is ridiculous. No, we're not. I'm not. No, I love football. You damn well know I love football. And when football season starts, you don't interrupt me on Sundays. Now, she doesn't know that tomorrow I will only watch one game. I'll surprise her tomorrow. And yeah, dude, I hate going out. I hate being late. I hate the way people talk to other people. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a hypocrite, but like the reason why I kind of bump heads with one of my brother-in-laws is because like the way they talk to their mom, and I don't appreciate that. It's like, no, your mom is a saint compared to what my mom was or is. Was because she's doing a lot better now.
Yeah.
And I just like the triggers are real, dude. Like it's like, I'm telling you, they told my wife he has a lot of triggers, and like there's just a lot of things that set me off. And it's like, it can be, hey, I'm gonna make example. One day, I don't know if I said it already, but one day my son was making macaroni and cheese, and I bit my wife's head off. Why is he making the macaroni and cheese? You know, like, because I had to learn how to cook at a young age because I was forced to learn how to cook at a young age. You know, so like I said, fast food is the enemy. Freaking, like, you know, when she wants to go, I think I recently told my wife, was like, hey, that one time you really pissed me off, and she said, why? Because we couldn't afford tacos for everybody, and you were eating pretty much food in front of us, just yourself. And it wasn't even her who bought them; it was my cousin. Thanks a lot, Diana. That gave her the tacos. You know, she had extra tacos, and she kind of gave them to me. And the way I saw it was, that pissed me off because I remembered, you know, example, one day I'm at home trying to figure out how to make rice, trying to figure out how to feed my siblings because my mom's not home and we can't get a hold of her. Again, no cell phones back then.
Yeah. And
I can't get a hold of her, can't find her, nothing. So I figure out how to make rice. I luckily don't burn the house down.
There was no YouTube back then either, man.
No YouTube back.
This
was back in 2000. So we're talking 20 years ago.
Yep.
There was no YouTube. I couldn't Google it. I couldn't do any of that. And you know, my mom gets home the next morning. She's home, and then she's showing us pictures, and I'm like, what the fuck? We're at home starving, and you guys are at Universal Studios?
Oh, that's...
Yeah. So that's what I'm telling you, dude. I have like triggers like there's no tomorrow. So that's why I kind of got pissed off at my wife because she was eating those, and it's not even her fault. It's just flashbacks and triggers, and you know, like I was telling you earlier, trying to get rid of some of these triggers are not easy. They're still there. Like they just, like, memories don't just disappear. And you know, my wife can, I'm not trying to compare my wife, but she can say something that reminds me of something I was in the past told by someone else, and it's like, well, fuck you then. You know, now I don't talk to my wife that way, but that's how I feel. Like,
it's kind of like a mindset.
Yeah. So it's like, dude, I really encourage people to go to counseling. I really do. It really does. I even feel like I should go back. I just don't have the same the counselor that I was going to. One, I'm not going to drive to Ventura once a month, and two, he retired.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. What made you want to go into counseling?
It's funny because my wife would always tell me, you need counseling. And I was always, in my mind, I was telling her to fuck off. No, I'm not going to tell some guy to tell me I'm crazy. That was my mentality. When I'm repeating the story to my lawyer, right after she hires us, or right after we hire her, or she takes my case to get custody of the kids, she tells me, like, you had a tough upbringing. You should seek counseling. Okay. My wife looked at me like, are you fucking serious? I've been asking you for years. This lady tells you one time. Okay. I'm paying her. I'm paying this lady to tell me what to do. So, yeah, I went to counseling, and like I said, the counselor, I had him for a couple years, and it made me understand what triggers were, and it made me understand that I mean, I try to catch myself, and my wife does tell me every once in a while, you know, hey, proud of you for catching yourself on this. Like, no joke, the other day where she says something, and she said your family, like, because my mom and my brothers are going to come over, and she said, yeah, your dad's family's coming over. And I'm like, and I kind of like, just look, before I open my mouth, I'm going to think about what I'm really going to say. Because her response was like, well, you always say my family, meaning her family. And I don't say our family. I say your family. And she said, so she threw that back at me, and I got offended. So that's why I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to think about this. And we're having dinner, right? Yeah. We're having dinner, and I think like 5 minutes later, but yeah, or this, and I had a comeback, right? And then she's like, all right, okay, that's cool. We solved that issue, that comment. But like she said like she notices it sometimes. She sees that counseling really did do some good for me, because I'll catch myself. Like the other day, I think I went to I went to Starbucks. I got her Starbucks, and I got her coffee. I got my coffee, and I got my kids like a little hot chocolate. And then like I said, if we're eating something, they're eating something. Did you think I needed to buy a dozen donuts today? No, it's just two of us. Yeah. Did we need dozens? No, there's only 3 people in the house. But I want them. I don't. It's if I'm eating something, I want to make sure they're eating something. Even when I have company meetings and they feed us, they feed us, steak and this and that, blah blah blah. I feel guilty eating that because my kids are probably at home eating freaking something vegan or something on freaking those pita breads or something. I'm over here freaking eating steak and shit.
Yeah, I get the point.
Yeah, yeah, no, I that's just who I am, and that she tells me that she feels that counseling is good. That it did me good. Like sometimes I'll catch myself and I'm like, okay, let me think about what I'm gonna say before I say it. But there's just times where it's like, no, fuck this. But counseling does come in handy, and I think I need to go back, and it just helps you. Like even this people tell me that they seem that my podcast is therapeutic for me.
Yeah, definitely.
So it helps me open up and talk about issues and compare issues with you. And here we are 30 minutes later, and I still haven't even got to you, buddy. So
no worries.
What made you finally say yes, coming to the podcast?
Because a few weeks ago when you and I were talking about it is actually when I think the peak of how long has it been? 14-year span of playing games has finally come to an end. And playing games can be pretty subjective. We're not talking about the whole PlayStation 4, Nintendo 64 type deal. We're talking online games, and they can be pretty addictive, man. They take away from a lot of what you're supposed to focus on, like classic fashion. School starts to gradually decline when...
We're talking like maybe like gambling games online?
No. Back then, it was just pretty innocent, man. You're 16 years old. You don't have anything to gamble with.
Okay.
So you're just kind of getting into the environment.
Okay.
So you start off pretty much with your basics, man. You've got like, shooting games or whatever, but then you come across these communities that have like friends that you meet, and these are online friends. You don't go to them every single day. They're not like your best friends. They're just people you talk to. It's like a social circle. Point is acceptance. You're in this place where you feel accepted and you're having fun.
Right.
As a teenager, what the hell else could you ask for, man? You're having a ball compared to school, the crap that your parents put you through, whatever it may be. It's kind of like your escape.
Of course.
Now, note that word,
escape.
escape.
It's funny. We talked about escape last episode.
I remember. Sometimes this can become a bit out of control, though. And I'm sure in your head, Andy, you're thinking this becomes the job of the parents to really control it.
And you did have some questions for me earlier before we started recording about parenting skills and stuff. And I mean, I can't I think I feel that like addiction to games or something can be. I think I see it a little bit in my little one, the 11-year-old, because when I can let him play for an hour a day, he's fine the next day.
Yeah.
Or he's fine after we ask him to get off. But when we let him play for hours on a Friday night to wake up Saturday morning, there's one day he stayed up till like 5 a.m. playing. And he had this attitude like he was just being a little prick. And I'm like...
You stay till 5 a.m.?
He stayed till 5 a.m.
Oh, dude.
But I'm sleeping. I mean, I didn't know. But
yeah.
The next morning, that's when he's having these little tantrums and he's getting all bent out of shape. And like, I can yell at him all I want, but at the end of the day, whose fault is that? It was mine for allowing him to play till 5 a.m. I remind him, mijo, you are reminding me why I shouldn't let you play at all. This is the same pattern that you have every time we allow you to play for a long amount of time.
Right.
I get it. Weekends are weekends, and we don't have to go to bed at 8 o'clock. But if you're going to be on the game and the next day you're going to take it out on us because we tell you not right now, that's the pattern that I see. I see that when he plays on it for a while, that's the attitude we get. So again, I feel like it's my fault. And like last night, instead of letting him play video games, he just watched the movie with us.
Yeah.
We watched the movie. We stayed up till like 10 o'clock. We watched... for the first time, I allowed him to watch Blood In, Blood Out. Right. Love that movie.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Your kids enjoy it?
They caught the storyline. They understood the message at the end. So that was good. It was a good message.
Which is pretty cool because of meeting your kids, dude, their personality and their age, for them to be able to pick that up.
Yeah. No, honestly, dude, like, and we're going off a different topic, but when they watched Back to the Future for the first time, right? When it gets to part 3, for me, it's like, how the hell it took years for me to watching him. Never really caught on. Why the hell does he end up in the Old West? Why? Doesn't make sense. My kid, he had to have been like 6 years old, maybe, the little one. And we're watching it, and then he's like, watching the third one, he's like, he's in the Old West. Oh, because the clock in the car was glitching. Holy shit, you're right.
Dang. He answered it.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, how come it took me this long to understand that part?
That's crazy.
But yeah, no, like yesterday he didn't play video games. We kind of kept him in the living room watching the movies, and then I wasn't tired, dude. It was 9:00 and 9:30. I wasn't tired, and I knew I was gonna have you today, but I was like, no, I'm good. We started watching National Security. It was like,
There you go.
funny coincidence with what's going on with the Black Lives Matter.
Oh, Lord.
It was kind of funny to start watching that. We didn't watch the whole thing, but
Just a bit.
yeah, just a bit. He was
Gotcha.
cracking up, dude. He was laughing. If I can get him to laugh with old movies that I grew up watching, I did my part.
Yep.
But yeah,
Nothing
again,
wrong with that, though.
no video games this weekend, and then even last weekend when I stayed behind because I didn't want to go and I wanted to watch football.
Mm-hmm.
The little one stayed with me, and like I think the older one kind of tried to, fish for information.
Yeah.
So what tier are you on Fortnite now? He's like, I didn't play Fortnite, and he was like, what? He didn't play Fortnite. He was out here with me the entire time, watching football. Maybe he pulled out his phone a couple times, but he was watching football.
Yeah.
But there's got to be boundaries between
Definitely.
whatever you had going on or the whole.
They weren't respected, though, man. That's the craziest part because, you're only 16 years old, so you're, a sophomore in high school, right?
Yeah.
You're basically living with your dad, and you're his only son at that. You're only one in the house at that point because your sister's moved out. So all of his previous intolerance to maybe disobedience, because I was like his good boy, dude. Didn't really give him much crap outside of the whole video game thing.
Right.
Didn't go out, didn't get rebellious. But when it came to that, he just did not have any patience left because of my sister. And on top of that, I was not backing down either. You take out the internet, you go talk to grandma, and all of a sudden at grandma's house on the weekends, you're getting the internet set up over there.
You know what
So-
though? Like, well, you haven't mentioned anything about your mom. Your mom wasn't there to help out. Or what's going
Nah,
on?
she was back in the picture at that time, but she
Okay.
still kind of was working some steps to be fully back on her feet. So she was back in my
okay.
kind of back in my life.
Yeah, because I kind of get when what you're saying about your dad, and just kind of like because with me, sometimes I feel I'm a lot more lenient with my kids.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes my wife can really be on them, and I'm like, I get annoyed and like, shit, fuck, back off. But then when there's times where she's like on them, and I'm like, hey, yeah, you're being a little prick, dude. You need to relax. And then she's like, thank you for having my back. Like, oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, dude, both parents need to be on the same page.
Maybe it was a blessing in disguise, though, because if my mom was around during that time to give guidance, I think she would have enabled it. I think she would have been more of the enabler to give me a few $20 for the game here. It's okay to play like
gotcha.
that. She would not have been on the same side as my dad. This probably would have gotten worse. If it
They
possibly
probably
could
would have bumped heads at dinner tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that too.
Because I know sometimes the wife and I do.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, he just wants to play Fortnite. He hasn't lost it. Let him play. So,
Yeah.
But then again, the consequences of that, he's being a little prick. So we gotta.
Well, not just that, man. I mean, you start getting to critical ages of their schooling. Their high school years are really important, but that's also the age where they begin to find themselves, as you always hear. But they find things they like to do at that time too.
Yeah.
And those could be things that they did as a kid on elevated levels. So you got to be really careful of that, especially now. All these kids and their phones, man. Come on, you get your kid an S10 or an iPhone. What are you really putting in their hands?
Yeah.
You can monitor stuff the best you can, but
I know my kids. They have a phone, but it only works on Wi-Fi.
yeah, exactly.
And then when we're out and about, they can't use it unless I turn on my hotspot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because all these games, man, are they here for free, Andy? Are they here they're here for your entertainment?
You know what though? But you know what? I think you're right, because right now I have my credit card attached to their accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we want to, this Pokemon raid is not gonna free,
Yeah.
So they play, like I said, they play Pokemon Go, but they know. Like the other day, my son's like, Dad, I really need like $5 for Roblox. I'm like, I'm not giving you $5 for a freaking game. And he's like, Dad, but look, I'll give you from my allowance money. I just used your credit card. And I'm like, no, you're not. If he didn't respect me, he would have got his $5 because he damn well knows that my credit card is attached to his Google Play Store. He didn't touch it.
That's good.
Now, as they get older, like you said over there, I think I'm gonna have to delete that credit card.
Yeah, definitely, man. You can't leave it access.
And my neighbor, for example, her 8-year-old daughter's birthday was, I think, this past Wednesday.
Okay.
And
Happy belated birthday.
Happy belated birthday. And I asked her, what does she like? What is she into? And the first thing she said was Roblox. And I'm like, oh, great. Just like these kids, right? Great. So I think Wednesday I went to Target and I got her a, Google Play Store for like $10. Nothing. $10 is nothing. Dude, the look on my kids' faces, like,
What?
You're buying her a Google Play Store card, but you won't even give us $5? Like,
Oh, no.
you know what? It's funny because even my god kid, I'm like, what do you want me for your birthday? Oh, I want money for Roblox, or I want money for Fortnite. And I'm like, fuck, no, you're not. I'm not giving you shit. And here I am giving the neighbor.
Yeah, yep.
But the look on her face was priceless, dude. Her mouth opened so wide in joy, like she loved it. The next day, her mom was like, she loved it. She loved it. Well, you told me she plays Roblox, and I know my kids are always begging for money for Roblox, so that's the least I can do. Kid loved it. So let's not add to their addiction, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of fads, man.
Imagine 20 years from now, that kid's over freaking
especially
some
with,
kind of anonymous because she's over here having a gambling issue.
Right.
It all started 20 years ago when my neighbor gave me a $10 gift card.
that Roblox card. Would have put into motion.
Oops.
Oh, boy. Andy's fault.
Yep, my bad.
It can be, though, man. Like, that motion is not a false principle. It's pretty true because I think it depends what you grew up with and what you were kind of like influenced by. Because even though my dad is over here telling me don't play games and whatnot, he himself kind of had like tendencies to, expensive hobbies.
Okay.
So when the games become hobbies of yours and you can possibly input money to progress the progress or to increase the progress, it becomes very tempting to. And especially if it's new, anything new is going to hit that dopamine effect where it's just like excitement, total rush. It's like, oh, okay, it's fun.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, man, there's a whole community of I'll just call them gamers that spend so much money on this stuff, Andy. It is disgusting. Some of them have to go work their 9-to-5 jobs. Some of them just come into the money from Chinese inheritance from their family, and they just got it sitting in the bank to go blow and make it look easy. But that makes you think because you kind of want to do what they're doing. You want to get what they're getting.
You know what? It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because just recently, my brother-in-law, aka Officer Ricky, came over to the house a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
And showing off his new Tulsa, whatever that damn
Tesla.
There it is, Tesla. Stupid car, asshole. So he's showing off his car, and he takes me for a drive. And I guess the car has a feature where you push a button and it takes off. He did that to me, not knowing that I hate roller coasters. So I was like, "You fucking asshole!" I fucking insulted this guy, and for a minute, dude, I sinned. I sinned big time because they went. I had two buddies of mine remind me that envy is a sin. Because I once they left, and I'm sure Ricky's gonna hear this. Ricky, I love you, bro. He's the very first guy that listens is Ricky, and and I told my wife. I asked my wife, what was their purpose of coming over here? I was pissed, dude. Like, what was their purpose of coming over here? To show off their freaking toys? Like, are you freaking serious? Like, I'm 38 years old. I'm living in someone else's house because this is my mother-in-law's house. I'm driving a 05 freaking CRV, and here he is, not even in his 30s, and he's driving a freaking Tesla. I'm like envious, bro. I'm envy, dude. And my wife's like kind of like, she's like says like it's like walking on eggshells with you, so I'm not gonna comment or answer until you're more calm. And like I said, I had two friends of mine tell me, like, remind me, hey, that's a sin. And I'm like, fuck, you're right. You're right. It is a sin. Yeah. And they also reminded me, and again, I love you, Ricky, but they reminded me, you don't have a $60,000 debt. You don't have a $400 debt to a house, a $6,000 debt to a car.
Yep.
He does. Again, love you, Ricky. He does. You don't. So be grateful for what you have. I'm like, it's just that it just sucks because, you know, these kids are cars, Tesla, and I have $54 on my savings account. You know what I mean? So
it makes you feel.
yeah, it's
little
like
bit.
shit, man. And I won't go to a casino because I you know, to try to make money. It's not going to go that way. It's not going to work out for me. I went to a casino. It's funny because I went to a casino, this Shumash casino, and I lost $400.
Well, this guy.
Right? I went to Vegas for like a weekend and I only lost 40. Because see, when I had only $60, I was more responsible than when I had hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
And I went into a freaking casino and fucking lost 400. Went to Vegas, and then my friend Lydia, she's like, "What's up with what's going on?" I'm like, "No, as long as I go home." And again, this is part of the times when I'm homeless.
Mm-hmm.
She just like, she wanted me to get away, and she wanted her first trip to Vegas, and she said, "It's going to be your first trip to Vegas. Let's go to Vegas." And her friends took us to Vegas, and I mean, she's like, "I'm holding on to this $20 bill in my pocket," and I was like, "I'm like, nah, because this $20 bill is going to buy diapers for the kids when I go home."
Yeah.
The mentality,
More
like,
responsible.
yeah. So
100%.
I was getting unemployment, so like unemployment paying my bills and blah blah blah, and then
Yep.
this $20 is gonna buy diapers, so I can't spend it. So that's why I had $60 to play with. I lost 40, came home with my 20, and bought diapers.
That's good though.
So no, I will not get into that kind of addiction.
No,
As
100%.
much as I envy people and their freaking cars and their freaking houses and their freaking drones. I don't even got a fucking drone, man.
Yep. That's pretty
I don't
crazy
even have a fucking
though.
drone.
There was a good thing to it though. Honestly, I mean, like, despite having a lot of money burned into a stupid online game that ended up just being a learning experience, there actually is something good that came from it all though.
Yeah.
Not just a lesson. Someone, you know, my girlfriend of 5.5 years. We've
Okay.
been technically together for 6, but official since 5.5. And,
Okay.
you know, you've got everything nowadays from eHarmony and places that people are like looking to find love. Thankfully, her and I did not have anything like that. We weren't looking for each other, just kind of happened to come across each other.
Yeah.
And the pieces of the puzzle.
Hey,
just
what
happened to fall.
what does Johnny say on Cobra Kai? It's like, what happened to the old days where you could just bump into somebody?
Right? He did not like the ways of dating, dude.
Oh, that was funny.
He was trying to get the app. Yeah, like
Yeah,
you said,
nope.
another episode. Another
this,
episode.
another
Don't-
episode.
Dang it. Oh, you got to climb that tree.
Oops,
Shit.
oops. Spoiler alert.
But no, man, it was totally unorthodox. We'll call it that. That's the word for
Yeah.
it. Unorthodox way of meeting someone. And it's kind of funny, I think, especially if you're close to someone like your grandma, because how far back are her traditions of how she met someone
Yeah.
versus who you're now having to bring around to her. And, you know, she's got her paranoia because she hasn't met the girl yet, but she takes your word and ends up working out completely because girlfriend is totally loved by my family.
That's
Person.
good.
Huh?
That's
Yeah,
good. No, that's good.
Exactly. So that's kind of everything right now is, you know.
So did she nip it in the butt? Were you gambling or what's going on?
Oh, you know what, man?
Because I know my wife nipped it in the butt. My wife nipped it in the butt. My mentality was come home from work and play freaking Grand Theft Auto until like freaking 9 o'clock at night, where I actually had like the best cars in the tank and everything.
Right.
But I didn't earn that in the game.
I think it's
I
the
used
balance.
I used my credit card.
That's okay though, man. Like I said, it's there.
It's funny
They
because
put it there.
I'll see a nice car driving by and I'm like, I have
Ah,
that car. I have that car. And my kid's like, yeah, in Grand Theft Auto. Assholes. But did she nip it in the
No,
butt?
she didn't nitpick it. She did something better, in my opinion. I don't know. This is I guess a subjective better because she doesn't condone it, but she doesn't stop me from doing it either at the same time. She draws a limit. Always make sure you're spending out of your extra money.
Not
you know.
what you need for bills.
Exactly.
And you know what? You're right. Because I'm the same way. Like the other day, I'm like, well, they can use $5 in Fortnite. I made sure it did not come. My bills come first.
Mm-hmm.
I have a freaking spreadsheet that tells me what bills need to get paid with what paycheck.
Oh, that's great, dude.
You know, these donuts and coffee weren't from my
As
bills.
as an accountant study right now, I can say that you're definitely making me proud.
Thank
take
you,
that.
man. Thank you. Yeah, I have like I said, a spreadsheet, and I do all the bills and
good.
make sure that and I mean, really, to spend money on a video game. I mean, the most money you should spend on a video game is the video game itself.
True.
That's it. Like the battle pass, for example, on Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
My sister-in-law, the little one, her son, doesn't have. And here I am spending money on other kids than mine. Her son, my kids were kind of clown on him and say, "Oh, you're just a noob. You're just a noob." Why you guys call him a noob? Because he doesn't have any of the skins, Dad. I'm like, what? What? He doesn't have any of the skins? Bullshit. Right now we have the Avengers going on. So tell him to add me as a friend. So I add him as a friend on the PlayStation. And then I like boom, and then send him the battle pass. And then he's like, "Thank you, Uncle Andy. Thank you. He's all happy. And I told my wife, please tell your sister not to make it a big deal. It only cost me $7.59 or $7.49. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then my wife had to explain to her, well, how come do I have to spend $10 every month? No. You have to play the game and you have to unlock it for so much. And every tier you unlock, some tiers have money. So you can technically keep recycling the same $10 as long as you don't spend the V-Bucks on anything stupid.
Yep.
My kids already got an earful for spending their V-Bucks on stupid skins. I'm like, no, I'm not paying for your shit no more.
Yep.
With me, it's like I only paid the first $10 and then accumulate enough to continue to pay for the battle pass on its own.
Which is smart.
Same thing goes for the Call of Duty. I play it enough where it buys the battle pass on its own.
You made it perpetual pretty much. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So as long as you do that, you're fine. Now, I got a lot of catching up to do on Fortnite because I'm not going to make it next season. But yeah, dude, like I said, the wife kind of opened my eyes too on yeah, because like I said, I did spend some money on Grand Theft Auto.
Yep.
And even back in the days, Farmtown. Does anybody remember Farmtown on Facebook? Dude, that game was so addicting that I actually, and I'm almost homeless, dude. And like this is like in the stages where I'm almost homeless, and I get my unemployment check. I'm like, okay, well, my phone's paid. I got diapers for the kids. There's food in the house. I got $20.
You've deemed it as extra money.
I got $20.
Oh, Lord.
So I would run it to the bank, deposit it, and then just freaking buy stuff on Farmtown and start, my buddy. No, this is how bad it was. My buddy from episode 1 and 2 would call me, "Hey, dude, I'm at work. Okay, I can't crop my shit. Can you log into my?" So I had to log into his Facebook and everything. And so I'm over here cropping his shit, and I'm over here using my character to crop his stuff so that we're both making money. So
Dude,
stupid.
it was a process, man.
It was bad.
That was crazy.
It was bad.
It's addiction.
Yes.
Yes.
It is addiction. And now I only use, now that we live out here, my wife realized that playing video games for me is more of a way of calming down. Okay?
Right.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I used to go to the beach and fish. That was my thing when I lived in Oxnard. Now we come here, and I probably repeated this story multiple times, but video games is my escape. I can play it for 5 minutes. I can play it for 10 minutes, but it's not addicting. Video games are no longer addicting like they were, like I was addicted to in the past,
right,
where I'm spending money. That's an addiction. If you're spending money in a video game, that's an addiction.
True.
And I mean, like I told my wife, be glad that this is my only hobby. Well, now I have a podcast, but
yeah,
be glad that when I spend money, it was only on video games and it wasn't on drugs. Now, with the podcast, I mean,
hobbies have startup costs, but thankfully it's not one that you need to
continue to spend money on.
Exactly.
Like this one, I mean, I think $100 a year can continue the podcast.
Yeah.
And who knows where it goes right now. We're at episode 21. If I have no one come over next week, then I have no episode, and I can't do this by myself. So
yep,
it's just it's a matter of having people here and talking about their story, talking about life, and you. Again, back to you. You always you continue to say like, holy shit, dude! Like some of those stories you've said on your podcast remind me of my childhood or whatever.
Similarities are definitely drawn.
Similar, and a lot of people that's the reason why they want to be on the podcast, because they find similarities or they find something that they can open up, they can relate to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, addiction, no bueno.
Especially not to games, man, because that caused a lot more problems too. I mean, it wasn't just...
Was it were you and your girlfriend bumping heads?
No, not girlfriend, dad.
Oh, your dad.
Oh, dad actually full on kicked me out. You want to go live this life, you're going to go do it over a fucking grandma's house, boy.
Oh, shit.
You want to develop a little attitude and tell me you're making money. Basically, I was making money at that time. I was working.
Yeah.
So I did have a little bit of money in my pocket, and I thought I was just a fucking shit. And I just said a lot of things that you're basically not supposed to say to your dad. So, like, for example, you know, you mentioned one of your pet peeves earlier was people being late. My dad was the same way. Love you, Dad. But holy hell, every time that you had to pick me up late from school because you said you were waiting for a damn UPS package. Bullshit, man. All the kids had gone home. I'm sitting there on the fucking lawn till 3:30. We got it at 2:45, man. Come on, those days. So,
dude, I remember those days staying there at school till like freaking 3:30.
it wasn't fun, man, because especially if you lived far away, you couldn't walk home or anything like that. You know, you were just kind of stuck there. So we were bumping heads over little things, and basically you kind of felt like you had authority. You were only 16 years old, but you're telling your dad, well, hey, next time you're late picking me up from school is the next time you're paying my next phone bill.
Oh,
All of a sudden,
I would have slapped you.
oh, don't worry, it gets better, Andy. Imagine you're in this garage, because my dad was in his garage too, working with his DJing equipment. I hear that garage door for one slam open, boom,
Oh,
boom, 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 stomping, coming up the steps. I'm just waiting for it. There goes my door, boom.
wide open.
Get your shit, get out. I'm like, all right. Just with a straight face, you're just like, all right. So I pushed him to a lot of boundaries over
Yeah.
things that I wanted to do that were not important. Games were not important. School was.
Yeah.
But because he had his foolish hobbies and his things that he liked to do, I didn't respect the fact that he put in the work to kind of be there doing that. You know, he went to school. He got his degree. He didn't let things distract him when he was a kid. And that's probably the biggest thing is it's not
Bro,
just...
the thing is that our parents didn't grow up in the video game
It's
era.
different now, man.
We did.
Yes.
And look, now there's kids making money playing video
Yeah.
games. Like, are you fucking...
No.
There's a little kid that made millions of dollars for doing toy reviews on fucking YouTube. Are you serious?
Doesn't that sound weird that you're supposed to encourage your kid to go and do what they love, but now you have to make a kind of double standard where it's like, oh, but make sure it has a degree, you know, make sure you're not just making YouTube content because you told them to do what they love, right?
Yeah.
What if they love doing that?
So what ended up being the conclusion with your dad? So how is your guys' relationship now?
Dad's relationship now was mended very unexpectedly. Basically, after got kicked out when I was a senior in high school, he needed someone to help him DJ. So I wasn't working at that time. I had recently quit my job over at the movie theater. So ended up just working on the weekends with him. So finished up my senior year. Still had a few bad tendencies I was going through, but you know, for the most part, it was a positive re-encounter with him. So it just gave us a chance to be able to work together. And my scariest thing, Andy, real quick, one DJing story, I've got to include it.
Go for it.
Because anybody put in this situation might be terrified. You're in a packed room. It is a ballroom. It's December 13th, 2007, because you're at a Christmas party for a corporate event.
2007. That's when I was going through shit. Okay.
There you go. Put you back in the moment. Make you think.
Oh, yeah.
Good, you're with me. All right. So ride with me because... Ride with me.
Right with me.
There you go. Your dad, or the DJ, the MC, has laryngitis. That's not good in itself. You know this going into the event.
Yeah.
You don't know, because he hasn't dropped it on you yet, that you're going to have to start making announcements as he's writing all these little cue cards for you and telling
no.
you, you've got to get on the microphone.
Yeah.
You've got to do the emceeing. I've got laryngitis. And you're terrified, dude. You're just in front of all these people and they've sat down and all of a sudden you're having to grab the microphone and you don't feel any backbone in your spine, dude. You're just like, oh, God. But it got better over time and it gave you a lot of power on the microphone. I think that's where a lot of my people skills come from. You know, the ability to talk to people. And that's probably, Andy, what helped the connection with you and I. The fact that
We just talk.
dude, I told you that from the beginning. You had that ability to kind of speak to people and are just very good at conversing. You know, you combine that with kind of my way I am and just, I'm sorry. As Kathy said, it's a boyfriend made in heaven.
Bromance.
The
My wife was
bromance
kind
in
of
heaven,
jealous
dude.
about that. I no man, it helps. Just talking, dude. I don't know, man. Like
Yep.
tell my kids I get paid to talk. Like that's what I do.
Yep.
And because even them, they're like, Dad, you talk a lot. Or they'll see me in a random person on the street. I'll say something, and we're talking for 5 minutes now. So they're like, damn, you talk a lot. But that's how it is, man.
Yeah.
That's who I am. I think my family from my grandfather's side is the same way. They can talk. Where sometimes I'm like, okay, Tia, please stop talking.
Dude.
But then I have it. So I can't say
Yep.
that because I have it too. And it's my cousins came over a few months ago to record a podcast, and we were done recording by 10 o'clock. They were here till 2 o'clock. We were just chatting, talking away, just where all of a sudden my kids show up with like sandwiches and cut up fruit and everything. You guys have been
Yeah.
here for a while. You guys are probably hungry. If he's hungry, you guys are hungry.
Yep.
And so, well, it's what I do, man, and I like it, and I want to thank you for advising me to just freaking do it after hey, my uncle wants me to do a podcast, and you're like, just freaking do it already. Stop talking about it, just do it. And here we are again, episode 21. You're on it.
Yep.
And have no problem having you back on. We can talk about Cobra Kai.
That'd be awesome.
And well, like I end every podcast, buddy. Thank you for riding with me.
Thank you, sir. Been a pleasure.
All right, buddy.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat. Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Indie Podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.